All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight for our Wednesday night Stories of Hope. I am super excited to have these girls on sharing tonight. So the purpose of this is just for us for each other to hear some different stories. And like one of the things that when I first started was the stories. And I know for a lot of us was hearing somebody else's story and resonating with it and being like, oh my goodness, that sounds like me. I need that. I need to feel better. Give me what you got, kind of thing. Because we all want to know, like, I feel like a lot of us are skeptical at the beginning when we hear about supplements that change your health. Like, how do supplements change your life? So through stories and through hearing how, hearing people and their experiences with the supplements gives you hope for yourself that it could do the same thing for you, right? So that is the purpose of what we are doing here tonight. So I thank you so much, ladies, for volunteering and coming on here tonight out of your comfort zones and sharing how the supplements have helped you, because somebody might listen to you sharing your story and resonate with it, and they might try it and change their lives. So thank you so much. And I'm going to pass it over to Tabitha. She is going to share her story first, and take it away, girl.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. And yes, thank you guys so much. Thank you to Kirsty, who's here with me. This is my sister, and to Amy, who's also on here. Big thank you just for coming on, because it is hard to, especially I feel like sometimes it's easier to talk about other people, but when it comes to talking about yourself, like it's challenging to do that sometimes, which you would think it wouldn't be, but it is. So I really appreciate you guys being on here. My story is I love the stories of hope thing, because for me, I was one of those skeptics. When I first started, I was like, okay, whatever. So but I was also really tired of the way that I was feeling. So I, you know, got on the wellness page and I started just like looking up testimonies of my symptoms. And I must have read a million testimonies. I read so many, just trying to relate or trying to figure out like how I could relate with people. So and that's what made me like, oh my God, yes, I need to try this. And then I did, and then I was sold. So for me, I have 4 kids. I had my 4th baby in October of 2020, and wait, 2021, I'm sorry. And I had her, and the entire pregnancy was awful. I was so sick. My mom had never seen me that sick. You've never seen me that sick. Like, I was sick the entire pregnancy. I ended up in the hospital with like being so backed up. I couldn't go to the bathroom. They ended up having to like remove everything. Like, it was the worst experience I've ever, it was worse than birth. Like, it was awful. And then when I had her afterwards, I was the complete opposite. I had IBS and SIBO. I don't know if anybody here is, that's small intestine. And I just couldn't go anywhere. I had to go to the bathroom all the time. I remember taking my mom to the airport at one point, and I had to pull over to 2 different stops. Just the Atlantic City airport from where I live is 40 minutes away. I had to pull over twice just to go to the bathroom. And she was just like, what is going on with you? And that's when I was just like, oh my God, something's got to give. So I had that. And then, I have 4 kids. So I have Hashimotos and I have hypothyroid. So I'm just always exhausted, tired, can't sleep. I have cold sweats at night. Had all this stuff. So I was just having, just awful, awful symptoms. So I went to my doctor, and the doctor's like, you have Hashimotos, you have IBS. This is just par for the course. And I was just like, no, I don't think so. I'm 30 at the time. I was 36, I think. I was like, or 37. No, I don't think so. So I tried I had taken Plexus 2 years ago, and it worked for me really well. So I was like, I just missed the way I felt. So I just got back into it and did it again. And I just love the way that I feel. I feel like this is a gift, and I feel like it's been a blessing for me. So I love to share it. All of the symptoms that I just described to all of you are completely gone. I was 2 to 4 Red Bulls girl, always had a large Red Bull in my hand every single day, morning and night. No longer. I have not had a Red Bull since I started back on Plexus. I drink 1 cup of coffee a day, and I have the energy to be the mom I want to be with my kids. I run around with them. I was doing cartwheels the other day. I did a round off, which hurt a little bit, but I did it. And so anyway, so that's my story. I just love the way that I'm feeling. So I just love to I love to share with everyone. One of the people that I love to share with, it was my sister, who is Kirsty back here. And so I thank you again for coming on. we're gonna switch so that she can sit in the chair. And then talk a little bit about how her journey is a little bit different than mine, and she wants to share her story with you guys. So thank you guys again for showing up. And here's Kier.
Oh, geez.
I'm sorry.
Tiny room, one chair. Hi. Oh, she's so much taller than me. Hi. So I was also skeptical. And my skepticism is a little bit harder to squash than Tabitha's. So it took her a little while. And by a little while, I mean like constant daily messaging. You know how she said that she went through the like the Facebook testimonial. She would just send me one like every day. Like, but look. And I'm like, leave me alone. She's like, but look. So this firmly, she got me to where I am now. But to give a little background, I'm Tab's sister. I am 4 years younger, and 3 childs lighter.
Oh, whatever, you had to put that out.
But I have a daughter, and I battled with a lot of things for a good amount of time. I battled with my weight. I also have Hashimotos, hypothyroid, which they swear is not hereditary, but and then and it took them a very long time to diagnose me with that. And then about 6 months, about a year after having my daughter, I started getting some weird symptoms that came and went. And then about a year ago, I went from being a person who was very active, who, I was the person at family parties who sat on the floor with the kids. I did yoga for fun. Like I was like oddly flexible. And then all of a sudden I couldn't walk across a flat room without being in pain. I had horrendous knee pain out of nowhere. And as a person with hypothyroid, that also struggles with their weight, you'll often know that when you go to the doctor, you get told, well, you're overweight. I'm like, yes, but I was overweight last month. And last month I was totally fine. Like I've actually lost weight and that didn't change anything. Sorry, I'm also sick, so I sound terribly stuffed up. But so I had a lot of experience with doctors telling me like that knee pain was natural progression from having weight issues. And that was really hard. It was really a struggle to try to get people to listen to me. Like I know my body and I know what's like a gradual worsening because of weight gain versus what is a real problem. So I ended up getting sent to a rheumatologist who also brought up my weight. So lovely. And then who decided that I probably have like a form of rheumatoid arthritis. And RA is what people are really familiar with. This is like a slightly different version called adult onset Still's disease. Again, this is a clinical diagnosis. So they were like throwing names at a wall and hoping one of them would stick, which was very difficult to go through. And their way of dealing with it was to just throw medicines at them, throw different medications at it.
Which I was not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They put me on a chemo drug right away. The doctor, like literally, the test was, can I have your arm? He did this all over my body and asked if it hurt. And I said yes. And he was like, you have fibromyalgia. That's the test. I'm like, you just pinched me, or I have sensitive skin. And then I'm like, well, what is that? And he like kind of talked around it. I'm like, because you don't know. You just diagnosed me with something that there's no narrow, that's like Not to say that doesn't exist, it does, but you can't tell me exactly what it is because it's a very wide diagnosis that you don't know how to treat, other than with a drug that has very severe side effects. So they put me on gabapentin, which causes leg pain and tremors when I was dealing with knee pain, and kept me up all night. And they put me on a slew of other drugs. And when I asked them to put me on them one-on-one, they told me no and said that we need to throw everything at it and then we'll narrow down and see what's helping you. So I got put on multitudes of medication all at once with side effects that were nearing to worse, if not worse, than my knee pain. I had 2 to 3 days a week where I was completely useless to my family, where my husband had to plan to feed and put our daughter to bed every night because I was going to be useless those days. We built our life around which days of the week mommy can't help. And then I had my sister in my text messages. Hey, have you seen this one? Have you seen this testimonial? Have you look, she went through this too. Have you, this one had RA, this one has hypothyroid, this one, all the things. She's like, just try it. And I'm like, money. And she's like, the ability to walk. I'm like, eh. So I had just not told them that I went off of the two bit worst ones side effect wise for me were gabapentin and the methotrexate, which is the chemotherapy drug, which I had like my hair falling out. It was not fun. And I was foggy. I went off of them myself. I was taking, and I'm still taking an anti-inflammatory that was helpful, Celebrex, which is nice. But so I was just kind of like trucking through in pain, but like a little better because of the Celebrex. And I finally listened to Tab and I started doing EASE. I will preface by saying that I am not a doctor. I would never change anyone's regimen from doing anything that works for them. But I had a lot of doctors tell me a lot of things that would work that made me sick. Whereas with EASE, I have 0 side effects whatsoever. And I don't know how lipid mushroom things help my knees, but I will tell you that if I don't take them, my day is considerably harder. And I took them, I think I was about a month in on the Celebrex and the EASE paired. And we went to a wedding and I looked at Tab on the dance floor and said, I'm dancing. Because I hadn't done that in like near a year. And she nearly cried. So when she asked me if I would come on and tell my story, that I will never not take that. I will never not, if money's tight and anything else needs to be cut down, that I will not let that be cut down out of my regimen of what I take. I also take, the probiotic is great and I take that as well. But that EASE, it's been a huge change for me in joint pain and gave me hope.
I just have to hop in here and say, I love that so much. Like I had chills when you were talking and sharing that. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that, because I know that there are other people out there who don't have a Tabitha to be like,
And I was so annoying.
Try this.
So annoying.
So, yeah. So hopefully those people will hear your story and give it a try, because that is like life-changing to not be on all those medications and to just take a natural supplement that has 0 side effects. So.
Yeah, and I have it's so funny because people are like, oh, you're taking a thing. I have a friend who's like very deep into healthcare, and she was like looking at my stuff, and she had her like, oh, you're doing this kind of stuff face on. Then she was looking at it and she was like, this has really good stuff in it. I'm like, I'm glad you know that. I have no idea what's in there. Something about mushrooms, it works.
I love that so much.
Well,
Thank you so much again. Yes. All right. So now we have Amy, another one of
friend Amy. Yes. Thank you so much.
Sharing her testimony. So you go ahead, take it away, Amy. And thank you so much for being on here also and sharing.
Okay. All right. So, this is definitely not something that I would normally agree to do. And, my initial reaction was, no, I'm not going to do something like this. But I think the change that I've experienced is really important. And I really do want to help other people with, really hearing a story that I was skeptical as well. And so, and I think my mentality has changed too, where I'm challenging myself a little bit. So pushing myself a little bit out of my comfort zone. So I started about 5 months ago, and before that, I was about probably a year and a half or so of just being in a horrible energy funk. I was completely zero energy. Every day felt like a struggle to just get up and do anything. I felt like I was moving through mud all the time. That's every single thing I had to do, whether it was just, getting ready for work, going to work, everything felt like I was forcing myself to do everything. And on top of that, I started having symptoms of menopause as well. And I was, having horrible hot flashes all the time. My mood was horrible. I was irritable. I was ready to snap at anybody at any time. And, I actually had gone out on disability for a torn tendon in my arm. And that just made it worse, because now I'm like stuck without going to work. And now I'm really low energy, and I'm just like, searching and searching for something, how I can change the way I feel. And I just wanted to feel better. And I would, continuously see Tabitha's posts, and I honestly had gone back and forth a million times. Should I reach out to her? Should I not? Should I, try it? Finally, I got so sick of feeling so tired and so no energy. And I mean, I grew up as an athlete. I was always active. I was always, exercising. I was always doing stuff. And I felt like I couldn't get myself even in that situation to do anything anymore. And I think that all of that perpetuates poor choices. As your energy is low and you feel like crap, you're constantly making worse choices, which makes you feel worse. And I finally decided to reach out to Tab, and she walked me through everything. She was wonderful and got me set up and got me started. And I started with reset, and I from doing the first reset, first day was great and I felt great. Second day, I hated it and I felt horrible, and I felt like everything going on in my body that, I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never, ever doing this again. And the third day I was, I felt a little better, but I was also like, I can't wait for day 4, because I'm just going to eat everything. And I'm just going to I can't wait to eat. And it was an amazing experience to wake up on day 4 after that reset and know that I stuck to everything and I didn't cheat, and I, got myself through that mentally and physically. And I felt like such a sense of accomplishment when I got up that next day. And I felt physically so good. And I, didn't have to peel myself out of bed. I got up, and I was actually afraid to break my fast at that point, because I was so proud of myself and so happy at how I felt. And, I actually went hours and hours and, ate something very small in the middle of the afternoon. And then that encouraged me to really continue keeping it going with the meal plan and eating healthy. I was exercising a little bit more. I was walking, a few days a week. And then I, kept going with the triplex. I eventually added some hydrate, because I liked waking up and having hydrate during the reset. That was something that I really liked. And I noticed just an unbelievable boost in energy over, a few weeks. I was exercising every day. I was walking every day. I started incorporating exercises from Pivotal. And as I, increased my energy levels and my exercises and everything, I started adding active and Metaburn. And I used to have to take a nap every single day. Every single day I was taking a nap for no reason. Even if I had just, if I had to work later in the day and I would get up in the morning and be up for a couple hours, I would take a nap and before I went to work. And it was like crazy. There was no reason to, except I just felt horrible. And I have not felt the need to take a nap since I started this process. I had no desire to take a nap during the day whatsoever. I actually look for things to do to keep myself busy because I just don't want to, I don't feel like sitting down. I don't feel like, not doing anything. I wanted to find extra things to do and keep busy. And one of the things that really, I think, was surprising to me was, it was great that I felt physically much better and I had more energy and I was eating right. And, all of those things, I think, perpetuate making good choices. As you feel better, you're always, you're kind of encouraged to continue making those good choices. And I was doing that and I felt great, but my mood had changed dramatically. I was no longer ready to snap at everybody. I was no longer irritable, and I started thinking a lot more positively. And I think a lot of that also has to do with, this is a really incredible community of people that are very positive thinkers and very encouraging and supportive. And I don't really have a lot of people like that in my life. And I think when you're around a lot of negativity, that, you feed off of that, that rubs off on you. And when you're around positive thinking people, and, even if it's just on an online forum and you have those people encouraging you all the time, it changes how you think. And it changes your outlook and it changes, I've become a much more positive person in the way I think and feel. One of the things I really wanted to mention real quick, I think that really kind of is an example of the change in how I have felt. I'm a registered nurse. I work in home care. And I take care of one particular patient who is very physically challenging. I've taken care of her for years. And I used to do a lot of really long shifts with her. Sometimes I would do double shifts or 14, 16-hour shifts before I started my plexus journey. And it was, very difficult to get through. It was very physically challenging. The household itself is very challenging. She lives with her mother, elderly mother, who has severe dementia, and she has her own home health aides, and they're always fighting with each other. It's just like a crazy household. So it's mentally challenging. It's very stressful household. But I would go through maybe 10, 11 hours of trying to give everything the best that I could give. And then I was really just pushing myself to get to the end of the shift. So my patient wasn't getting, 100% of me by hour 10 and 11. She was getting maybe 50% of me because I was, just exhausted. I could barely move at that point. I was pushing myself to just get to the end of the shift. And I would come home and just be stressed beyond belief because of all the stress in the household. I would be exhausted. It would take me days to recover from that length of a shift with her. And I couldn't sleep because I just had all the stress of the shift going through my head all the time. And, I just this past weekend had to do a 14-hour shift with her. And I had the same amount of energy on hour 14 that I did on hour 1. I went through the entire shift with enthusiasm, and she had 100% of me as a nurse for 14 hours straight. And all the stress in the house is still there. All of the craziness is still there. And
That's so awesome, Amy. Oh my
it just
God.
doesn't get
I
to me
love that.
anymore. None of it gets to me. that stress, it rolls off of me. I'm very patient with everybody now. I don't snap at anybody. And I could tell from the reaction of my patient, she knows that, you know, it was just, you know, me giving 100% of my energy the entire time I was there. And I came home and I sat down finally, and it was a good exhaustion feeling. It was like a really good, I put everything into that shift and I was ready to go to bed. I slept like a baby. I had no wheels turning in my head. I had no stress from any of it. I woke up the next morning and felt like nothing had happened. I got up, went for my walk in the morning. I had, you know, it didn't take me days to recover. I usually had such horrible muscle fatigue and everything from working that kind of shift, and it just wasn't there. I felt great. So that's an actual comparison I can give from before starting this journey and after, like an actual same exact scenario that, you know, I can look at and say, that's the difference.
I love that so much. That makes me so happy to hear. And I am like so thrilled that you came on to share your story, because like really that's exactly what I love to hear. It's exactly why I share, because it makes me so happy to hear that that's such a life-changing thing for you. I just really am just happy for you.
Yeah, it made, you know, a huge difference, like I said, in a lot of aspects, and not just physically, but for me, like mentally and emotionally and everything was just as important. And
That's
you
me
know,
too. Same.
I was miserable with, you know, having menopause symptoms and all these things that were, you know, these hot flashes, which, you know, I used to, when I was younger and I used to listen to older people talk about hot flashes, I was like, it can't be that bad. Why are you being so crazy about hot flashes? It is that bad.
Yeah.
It is. And it's horrible. It's miserable. It makes you horrible. It makes you miserable. And that has been drastically reduced. I very rarely have any symptoms.
I've heard that too with the menopause symptoms.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it helps.
you know, I've been doing my triplex and my metaburn and my active and hydrate, and I just added the lean shakes for this last challenge, and you know, I'm liking that too. So you know, I'm really happy to continue on with this journey, and I have no reason to, you know, think about stopping, because I cannot even think about going back to how I felt before and having that, you know,
your plexus lifer.
Yep. So that's it.
I
Thank
love
you
that so much. Yes, thank you so much. And since you touched on the community, if anybody is listening to this recording, or you can send this recording out to whoever, we have a Facebook page that has all of our people in there and other testimonies. So if you're like, wow, this stuff sounds really cool, this stuff sounds really good, but like you don't resonate with either of these testimonies, or 3 of these testimonies, how do you say that? The 3 of these testimonies, you could possibly resonate with something else or somebody else's testimony, because gut health is related to so many things. It's literally still mind-blowing to me, and I've been doing this for 5 years. So join our Facebook group, ask the friend who sent you this video, or however, if you're seeing this video, get on that group, because our community is in there. There's tons of
encouragement.
Go ahead.
No, encouragement.
Yes, encouragement and testimonies, success stories, information about our products, other recordings just like this one. So definitely get in there and get involved with us, because we want to help you. That is why we're doing this. That's why we asked these lovely ladies to hop on and share their stories, because we're all struggling. We're all struggling with something, right? Life is not easy. And we in this plexus community just love to help one another and encourage one another, and we all just want to be healthy and happy, right? So thank you so much again, ladies, for hopping on. I am going to stop recording.